Recently, Twitter frenzy erupted because there was a new tool, new algorithm out where if you entered a pixelated image of anyone, it would reconstruct that image. And one of the first tweets about the discovery was they had entered a pixelated photo of President Obama, and out came a person who was clearly white, not the complexion of Obama. How is it that you have a person pixelated and there's an assumption that the person then turns white? And time again, if you entered a pixelated image of someone who had a skin tone, a complexion that was identified as dark, their image came out as white. So we know that there's biases in AI because the applications that we use, we find out after the fact. And so the question is, how do you design AI to mitigate human biases so that it can improve the human condition? I am a roboticist by training and trade, and I've written a book called Sex, Race, and Robots: How to Be Human in the Age of AI. My book is really an examination of the ways that we use AI and the ways that it has biases that are impacting our decision-making processes. And that's everything from predictive policing to getting on a plane and you are delayed because your image can't be matched, all the way to loan applications, to just even our assistants, whether it's Alexa or Siri, and how we interact with that. And so think about this. When anyone first uses these applications in the US as well as other places, the default voice is usually female.
Hello, the time is 6:50 p.m.
Most people don't really even think about that. Like, oh, of course, it makes sense. Like an assistant, female, so my AI assistant should be female. But what does that mean? So one of the things is then, as people, as humans, we are starting to get trained to think about our assistant as always available, always on, always willing to do anything of our bidding. And in fact, there was some early research that is parlaying to our human-human interactions with females. So we'll take an example of a facial recognition application in the algorithms that are being deployed today in policing, in police stations, and even surveillance of protests. If you are a human in the world, your image is being collected. There are cameras everywhere. And so that means if you're walking down the street and you're walking in any type of public place, your image is being captured and stored in a database somewhere. And then, of course, there are images that are being uploaded through Facebook and Twitter because these algorithms are scraping that data as well. There's been various studies about examining the accuracy of facial recognition algorithms. And there's research that's shown that the facial recognition algorithm was inaccurate because of your race. Sometimes 10, sometimes 100 times different in terms of accuracy rates and the measures. And so that's a problem because there's a lot of individuals that are going to be have a negative impact if it's not done correctly. And so the way that facial recognition algorithms work is that all of this data is collected and mined, and there's usually human coders that kind of identify, well, here's the face, here's not a face, here's the emotion, here's not an emotion. And so some of the biases come from the coders themselves labeling. Then you have the algorithm that's training. The data doesn't necessarily represent the plethora of people that are in the world, but think about who collects the data, right? It's the developers, it's the groups, it's the coders, it's the labelers that are labeling and coding and collecting the data. And so if you don't even have that diverse perspective, you're not even going to realize that data is missing. If you look at the global workforce, 22% of AI developers are female. If I look at specific stats for Google, 2.5% of their workforce is Black. At Facebook and Microsoft, it's 4%. Those do not correlate with the world population numbers. And so diversity really does have a large impact on how we design the software, how we design the AI. And I don't think we can really design unbiased AI without having a diverse team as part of the development process. So there are 3 key leverage points. One is that differences matter. You can't have a homogeneous team to create solutions. 2 is looking at diversity in leadership. When you have a company that has a diverse leader that professes that diversity is important, it means that the products and the company and the developers also believe that and will lean into designing solutions based on that. And 3 is about accountability. You have to have solid metrics with numbers. You to be accountable for the things that you're doing and putting in place practices that are necessary. I believe that we have a positive future of AI. I believe that it can enhance our quality of life. It can ensure that we have improved equality. But everyone has to be committed to it.